TV dominates our lives. It's everywhere, and it's relentless, and it's magical. But it takes something really special to stand out in the crowd and leave a lasting impression. Such is the case with the following 20 shows, each of which are not without their flaws, well, no show is, but nonetheless rank as some of the best ever made. So, with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 20 TV episodes that are practically flawless. Before we get into it though, there are some major spoilers ahead, so be warned. Number 20, Game of Thrones, The Reigns of Castamere. During its 8-season run, Game of Thrones aired countless episodes that could have made it onto this list, but none that were ever as methodically paced, memorable and brutal as Season 3's penultimate masterstroke, The Reigns of Castamere. The now infamous episode follows a handful of key storylines, from Dany's crusade to free the slaves in Yunkai to Bran's mysterious walking abilities, all of which culminate in the harrowing Red Wedding, in which Catelyn and Robb Stark are massacred alongside their men and Robb's pregnant wife by a vengeful Walder Frey. Even for a show widely known for its brutality, The Reigns of Castamere is a bleak and uncompromising affair. The build-up to its final tragedy is a stunning exercise in tension, and when the violence finally comes, it knocks the wind out your lungs and cements the war for the Iron Throne as one nobody is safe from. Peace is futile. Number 19, How I Met Your Mother, Legend Daddy. Like many sitcoms, How I Met Your Mother always reached its full potential when it balanced the laughs with the drama, and few episodes managed to do better than the Season 6 tearjerker Legend Daddy. Following the season's trend of exploring the gang's relationships with their parents, Legend Daddy zeroes in on Neil Patrick Harris's Barney as he comes face to face with his estranged father and his long gestating abandonment issues. With devastating performances courtesy of Harris and on-screen dad John Lithgow, the episode captures the very best of How I Met Your Mother, bursting with effective jokes that never undercut the emotions of the pair's fraught reunion and revelatory character development. Barney would rarely be this vulnerable or tragic again. Number 18, Rick and Morty, Pickle Rick. If you were to get someone to watch Rick and Morty for the first time, you'd do well to start with Pickle Rick, an uber-violent, utterly random assault of lowbrow humour and surprising catharsis that to date remains the show's crowning achievement. Desperate to get out of a family therapy session, Rick turns himself into a pickle and, abandoned and trapped with just his smarts, finds himself caught up in a battle for survival against inclement weather, cockroaches, rats and bloodthirsty assassins. Gory and gloriously twisted, Pickle Rick deals with Rick's narcissistic inability to maintain a healthy relationship with his daughter Beth, whilst showing off how intelligent and, yes, certifiably insane he truly is. As far as Rick and Morty episodes go, it's hard to find any that better capture the show's madcap wonder. Number 17, Scrubs, My Old Lady. Scrubs set itself up perfectly with its brilliant pilot, honestly letting audiences know how silly, amusing and moving the series would be going forward. But it wasn't until its 4th episode, My Old Lady, that it hammered home just how brutally candid it would be amongst the laughs. Following JD, Turk and Elliot as they stare death in the face for the first time and desperately, hopelessly try to avoid losing their respective patients, the episode paints a vivid portrait of loss and acceptance, with sharp observations of human behaviour and plenty of well-placed jokes. A major stepping stone in the trio's young careers, My Old Lady gives its characters their biggest challenge yet, forcing them to confront some tragic truths about their dream job, whilst letting audiences know once and for all what they're getting into. Number 16, Justified, Bloody Harlan. Justified's 2nd season ends with the exquisite Bloody Harlan, a gripping and rich tapestry of character confrontations, betrayals and heartbreak that puts its principal players in their messiest predicament yet. Following Raylan Givens as he plots to move from the streets of Harlan only to be dragged into the rapidly escalating war between the Crowder and Bennett families, a twist of fate that changes the entire course of the show. Quietly tragic and emotionally enveloping, Bloody Harlan benefits from the chilling performances of Timothy Olyphant and revelatory Margot Martindale, and its poetically neat capper to the tale of Mags Bennett. From this point on, things would never be the same again for Raylan or his foes, for better or for worse. Number 15, Breaking Bad, 1 Minute. This was it. The moment where Breaking Bad went from a great show to one of the greats, where everyone's roles were turned on their heads and it became abundantly clear that we were watching the tale of a monster who needed to be stopped rather than a rogue, well-meaning anti-hero Walt wanted us to see him as. 1 minute is primarily concerned with Hank, suffering from severe PTSD, stripped of his badge and gun, and relentlessly pursued by the cousins for his role in Tuco Salamanca's death 1 season earlier. Concluding with the show's most astounding action set piece, methodically directed by Michelle MacLaren, 1 minute finally turns Hank into the wounded hero he was always just shy of becoming, and in the process cemented Breaking Bad a place on TV's Mount Rushmore of TV dramas. From here, things would never be the same again. Number 14, Succession, All the Bells Say. Rare amongst TV dramas, Succession is a show which seems to effortlessly one-up itself every single episode, though it's hard to imagine it will ever be able to surpass the brilliance of its Season 3 finale, All the Bells Say. At its centre, the episode is all about power and loyalty as Kendall, Shiv and Roman band together in an ill-fated attempt to topple the business dealings of their father and confront Kendall's waning mental health. Elsewhere, their various foes and allies consider their options and wage their own wars. Anchored by a host of remarkable performances, especially from a broken Jeremy Strong, All the Bells Say captures with perfect clarity everything that Succession is about. The power struggles, the love felt between the Roy siblings, the pain and backstabbing. It's no wonder Succession holds so many of us in a vice grip. Number 13, The Underground Railroad, Indiana Autumn. Though The Underground Railroad makes for a difficult watch, it's not without its brief splashes of beauty and peace. Case in point, Indiana Autumn, the show's 8th episode, which follows runaway slave Cora as she enters a free black-led community. Unlike earlier episodes, Indiana Autumn paints a rare portrait of fragile happiness, as the town of Valentine quietly thrives despite the hardships faced by its residents. Cora, though, remains trapped by her recent past, unable to settle even as she grows closer to Royal. Colourful, romantic, tender, and frustratingly tragic, the show's strongest episode tackles the question of freedom and home to powerful effect, before ending with a hauntingly mysterious dream sequence few will be able to shake. You'll want to look away, but you never will. Number 12, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Wish. Buffy the Vampire Slayer has many episodes that deal with the dangers of magic, including the musical Once More with Feeling, the iconic memory wipe classic Tabula Rasa, and the hilarity of Something Blue. But none are as good as The Wish. Initially focused on Cordelia Chase as her disdain for Buffy grows, this Season 3 gem soon becomes a living nightmare. Transported to an alternate reality in which Buffy never came to town, Cordelia finds herself trapped after making a wish to the vengeance demon Anya. Painting a bleak portrait of what Sunnydale and its residents would have been like without Buffy's heroics, The Wish is Buffy at its most imaginative and haunting. Sure, Buffy may have made her enemies around town, but everyone would be lost without her, and vice versa. Its happy ending remains a subtle burst of joy. Number 11, The Walking Dead, Them. The Walking Dead was arguably at its best during its 5th season, when Rick and the survivors were at their lowest in a world that never gives them a break. The underrated Them represents the best of the seasons and the show's overarching themes of isolation and hope. On the road after suffering a series of heavy losses, the group struggles to find food and water whilst marching aimlessly for far-off shelter. Amongst them, Daryl, Maggie and Sasha drown in impenetrable grief, and Rick tries to keep everyone together. An unrelenting portrait of mourning and despair then brings the survivors together in a brilliant way, allowing each of them to fight their demons and find solace in each other's strength. Its final moments, with Rick's "We are the Walking Dead" speech to everyone holding off a horde of walkers, ranks amongst the show's best. Number 10, The Wire, Middle Ground. We don't need to dream no more. So speaks Idris Elba's Stringer Bell in his haunting Season 3 swan song Middle Ground, an episode which deals out more betrayal and surprise heartbreak than almost any other episode of The Wire. With a tenuous hold on his empire, Bell spends the episode sinking lower and lower, struggling to handle the continuous war with Marlowe, whilst his closest friend Avon is forced to betray him to his doom in the interests of his business. Brutally tense and building to something unthinkable, Middle Ground's final moments, where Stringer meets his end at the hands of Omar and Mouzone, still packs a horribly unexpected punch. It's so frightening and subversive, in fact, that The Wire never quite reaches it again. Stringer seemed poised to live forever. Number 9, Chernobyl, Vichnaya Pamyat. HBO's searing hit Chernobyl has no weak episode, and it saved its finest hour to last. Vichnaya Pamyat lacks the visceral horror of earlier episodes, but instead uses its courthouse setting to tie up the loose ends of the preceding drama. With those responsible for the disaster on trial, Valery Legasov explores what went wrong on that horrific day in 1986, laying bare the nuts and bolts of Chernobyl's flaws whilst coming to terms with the futility of the justice he and his allies seek. Meticulous in its detail, intense and powerfully performed by both Jared Harris and Stellan Skarsgård, Vichnaya Pamyat brings Chernobyl to the frustrating conclusion it was always gunning for, but does so whilst touchingly paying homage to the men and women who fought for justice and truth to prevail. Number 8. Better Call Saul, Chicanery. Chicanery remains the crowning achievement of Better Call Saul's near-flawless run, its intense depiction of a family implosion serving as the most pivotal development in Jimmy McGill's metamorphosis into Saul Goodman. In a bid to prove Jimmy tampered with the evidence in his Mesa Verde case, Chuck takes the stand to discredit his brother and save his own tattered reputation. But Jimmy once again proves to be more desperate and saves his hide by destroying Chuck's career and their broken relationship beyond repair. Tense and tragic, acted to heartbreaking, raging perfection by Michael McKean, Chicanery is the ultimate turning point in Jimmy's life, and a bracing example of how Better Call Saul could make him someone to root for even when he's off pulling his cruelest tricks. Number 7. The Simpsons, Homer's Enemy. What if a normal, hard-working American were to enter the world of The Simpsons? Well, that's essentially what Homer's enemy works to answer, as the lovable Frank Grimes waltzes into town and is driven crazy by Homer's idiocy and inexplicably perfect life. With Homer at his most charming and well-meaning, this Season 8 masterclass of comedy leans heavily into the implausibility of The Simpsons world. Homer is stupid but lovable, his family and friends totally smitten with him, but Frank Grimes, or Grimy as he liked to be called, is enraged by his antics. Surprisingly dark and bursting with excellent one-liners, Homer's Enemy is a hilarious tragedy, confidently subverting expectations by making us fall in love with Homer all over again, despite his mountainous flaws and Grimy's grim fate. Number 6. The Sopranos, College. Everyone who's seen The Sopranos will likely call College the episode that hooked them on the show. Only the series' 5th episode, it's the first to show us what kind of man Tony Soprano is capable of being. Whilst touring colleges with his daughter Meadow, Tony proves to be caring and relieved when they share secrets with each other. It's a tender development, hinting the mobster is a good man at heart, but it's twisted when he comes across a former colleague turned snitch who he hunts down and brutally garrots to death. A startling piece of character work that works effortlessly to blend Tony's two lives together, the family man and the family man. College is a troubling, frightening affair that presents Tony as both a monster and a man. This is where The Sopranos was born. Number 5. Lost, The Constant. It took Lost 4 seasons, but with The Constant, it finally produced an episode greater than its galvanizing series premiere. Widening the mythology, changing the show's setting, and shifting focus to the tragedy of Desmond Hume, it would never be topped. Following Desmond as he's inexplicably thrown through time, the episode shines eye-opening light onto the secrets of the island and Desmond's tragic past, and does so by delivering some of the show's most compelling flashbacks. With romance, mystery, temporal paradoxes, and a finale that will make even the most hard-boiled of viewer well up with joy, The Constant is Lost at its head-scratching, heartbreaking best, pushing the boundaries of its narrative technique without losing sight of the troubled characters at its centre. Number 4. This Is Us, Memphis. Where does one even begin to describe the brilliance of This Is Us? The story of the troubled Pearson family, told through multiple different timelines, the life-affirming drama is surely one of the most passionate TV shows ever made, and Season 1's Memphis is at the absolute height of its powers. Following Randall Pearson as he journeys to Memphis with his dying father William, the episode finally gives us William's story, paying homage to a loving, imperfect man who has reconnected with his son and wants only to put his troubled past to rest. A touching ode to family and unconditional love, Memphis is a stark reminder that all we truly have are the connections we make. William's swan song is a beautiful episode full of joy, pain, and finally peace. And Randall's acceptance of his father's fate is something few will be able to shake. Number 3. Mad Men The Suitcase. Mad Men thrived with its flawless writing and cast, and Season 4's The Suitcase, with its simple structure, aching characters, and electric performances, might just be the most flawless episode of them all. Set mostly in one place, with just Don and Peggy on screen for most of its runtime, the episode allows the pair, employer and employee, connected lost souls, creative partners, to connect in a way that never becomes romantic, just respectful and open. The two are strikingly similar, each haunted, each alone in their own way. Brilliantly performed by John Hamm and Elizabeth Moss and moodily directed by Jennifer Getzinger, The Suitcase is a meticulously revealing and emotional hour. Amusing at times and heartbreaking at others, Don weeping in front of Peggy is an unforgettable sight, and it might just be Mad Men's magnum opus. Number 2. Deadwood, Sold Under Sin. The amazingly titled Sold Under Sin is the final episode of Deadwood's revelatory first season, and it features many of the show's greatest moments. Gritty, haunting, tragic, and powerfully performed, it swings through its various subplots with the grace of a dancer and brings everyone together without a fault. With Seth and Al both at their breaking point with the drama in their lives, and the likes of Alma, Doc Cochran, and Trixie sensing an impending doom, the finale finds Deadwood becoming a community, but doesn't shy away from the danger lurking within its enlarging cracks. From Doc's prayer to end the Reverend's suffering, to Al's responding mercy, to Doc dancing with Jewel and Seth officially taking up the mantle of sheriff, Sold Under Sin is Deadwood at its poetic, unexpected best, with twists impossible to forget and characters forever changed. How this show was ever cancelled is incomprehensible. Number 1. BoJack Horseman, Time's Arrow. The penultimate episode of BoJack Horseman's 4th season, Time's Arrow, finally gives some insight into the life of BoJack's troublesome mother, Beatrice, and in the process reveals a woman encased in loss and regret under the cold facade. Told through a purposefully messy, non-linear structure which powerfully depicts the ravages of dementia, the episode explores Beatrice's childhood and unkind love life, how she slipped into alcoholism and became buried in her disappointment, and how deep down she was always a caring person who simply hid herself from the world. A magnificently heartbreaking portrayal of dementia and a stunning exercising in storytelling, Time's Arrow is confrontational and sad, exploring the idea that we never truly know someone. It reveals some staggering truths, the biggest of which is surely that this show about a faded 90s sitcom star is one of the most important ever made. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed any, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.